Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live.
Let me tell you, the dopamine, it's flowing.
I am damn excited. Damn excited.
We are so excited to be joining you guys tonight.
Oh!
Well, how you doing, man? Patrick.
Will Sterling.
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion, two-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Oh, he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna
And we'll see you next week. But until then, as always, go Chiefs. Welcome into the Arrowhead Addict podcast. It is Thursday, October 30th, the day before Halloween. It's time for the OG Hour. Patrick Allen with you, as always, joined by the blog father, Adam Best. Adam, big week here for the Chiefs. Game on Monday, game on Sunday, and a chance to really make a statement. I think everybody knows that the Chiefs are back, but they lose this game to the Bills coming up on Sunday. You know, they don't look as scary, do they?
No, and this is the guy, man. This is the number one contender for the belt as far as quarterbacks go. In my mind, like, it shouldn't even be disputed. That's how good Josh Allen is. I know that it will be disputed, but man, nobody trades clutch punches with peak Patrick Mahomes like Josh Allen. So this rivalry, I think the other thing we have to do is just step back and appreciate what we're seeing. We're seeing one of the greatest ongoing quarterback rivalries in the history of this game that's been around for, a century or whatever. And we're part of it. We get to be part of it because we've got the best quarterback of his generation. And if it wasn't for Patrick Mahomes, in an alternate universe where Patrick Mahomes was a baseball player or something else, Josh Allen would be the guy. And I still think he will get a Super Bowl before it's all said and done. He's only, 29 or whatever. So,
yeah, and I see Nick Wright, and I like Nick Wright, but he has a shtick that he does, right? He's the Chiefs guy, and one thing he does that I don't like is he always talks down on Josh Allen. Like, he admits that Josh Allen is good, but he says stuff like, it's not a real rivalry. It's not Brady versus Manning because Patrick always wins in the playoffs and all those types of things. I don't like taking that approach to this. I like your approach, and I'm with you. Yeah, look, the Chiefs have gotten the better of these guys in the playoffs every time, and that matters, right? But Josh Allen's played his ass off in these playoff games, most of them, the recent ones. The 13-second game, he literally did everything he could to beat the Chiefs. It's a team game, right? And if the Chiefs go down to the Bills in the playoffs finally, and they lose, and Patrick plays out of his mind, you don't want Bills. We don't want to sit here and listen to Bills fans say that, it means that Josh Allen is supreme over Patrick Mahomes. We know that Patrick Mahomes is supreme over Josh Allen. Look at the resumes, right? But to say that this isn't a rivalry or that it's not meaningful, I think it just devalues what we love about all this, which is sports and competition. Like, it is a rivalry. They beat us in the regular season every year we play them. They are the one team that is consistently standing in our way of getting to the Super Bowl. And thankfully, we've been able to get by them every time we've had to. But that doesn't mean, do I want to play? When we get to the playoffs, do you think that I want to play the Bills? Like, would you rather see the Bills or the Patriots in the AFC Championship game? Like, come on. Like, all due respect to what's going on in New England right now, it's not a discussion. So I think it's great. It's good for the sport, and I'm glad that we're always coming out on top when it matters the most. But watching these two guys play football is a blast.
I think people need to remember a few things. First of all, Peyton Manning didn't win his first Super Bowl until his 9th season in the league. He didn't win his second until his 18th season. So, I think there's a little bit of revisionist history when it comes to Brady and Manning and how they were positioned and all that. So it's still rather early for Josh, who was a late bloomer. But the other thing is, I don't understand Nick Wright talking down on Peyton Manning because it diminishes Mahomes too. What makes Mahomes so great is that Burrow, Lamar, Josh Allen, none of these guys have rings. And if he wasn't around, they might all have rings, right? That's what makes Mahomes so good. Michael Jordan wasn't playing against, mailmen. He was playing against the mailman, right? He was playing against Reggie and Drexler and Ewing, and those guys are all Hall of Famers. Guess what?
Barkley.
No rings. Yeah. I think he got like a ring with the Rockets, right? That's why I didn't mention him. But I just think that it's like the whole thing with Batman. I mean, the Joker isn't a bad villain. He's a great villain. And that's one of the reasons why Batman is one of the best superheroes, because the antagonistic force of the Joker causes him to rise to new heights. And that's what Josh Allen does to Patrick Mahomes. I think the best I've ever seen Patrick Mahomes play is generally against the Bills in the playoffs. And I think that's illustrated by 3 of his top 5 playoff drop back performances, according to EPA per play, are against the Bills. So I think that's statistically proven that Josh Allen pushes this guy like nobody else has, or perhaps even will.
Conway Liddy in the chat says it's great for football. I agree. I mean, I'm a Chiefs fan. I tuned in for Brady v. Manning. Like, I was like, oh man, like Brady Manning, when those guys were playing, it was on, Monday Night Football or whatever. Like, you better believe I tuned in as a football fan. And it's actually kind of sucked this year because I just love football and I watch as many games as I possibly can. With the injuries to Lamar and Joe Burrow, there haven't been a lot of marquee matchups that I've been like really excited to tune into this year. It's about the quarterbacks, and I'm glad that Lamar is coming back and is going to be in the mix again, because it's just fun football. That's a fun football team offensively to watch play when they're firing on all cylinders. So, no Burrow this year. It's quarterback league. So we're going to get into all of it. We got a great show lined up for you all today. If you're watching on YouTube, do us a solid and hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the Arrowhead Addict podcast. We've got 1 million shows every week, pregame show, halftime show, Chiefs postgame show. So you don't want to miss anything. And you need to make sure you're reading arrowheadaddict.com. Matt Connor, our editor-in-chief over there, co-hosts on the podcast sometimes. You got to be reading the stuff that they're turning out. We're going to mention an article here in a little bit. Let's get to the news here, Adam. Ahead of the game, we're going to preview the Bills-Chiefs game in a little bit. Still no Josh Simmons. This isn't a surprise. The rumor mill says he's going to be out for a minute. And so maybe after the bye week, we'll see. But it's family thing, so we just got to kind of wait and see what happens there. But we'll update you on that as we get info.
Did you hear Albert Breer's report that teams knew about this family situation before the NFL draft? So this isn't like a new surprising issue. He shed a little light on that, and apparently this is an ongoing thing. A lot of people are speculating about what it is with his family. I don't really want to get into that. I'm guessing it's something serious and probably pretty bad. And the Chiefs knew about it. They drafted him. They're supporting him currently, and they did not put him on the non-football whatever list it is that designates that you won't be available beyond a month. So they've clearly been expecting him back somewhere around a month or so.
I just got to take my hats off to the Chiefs organization on the way that they're handling this. I know people are annoyed because they're being tight-lipped about it, and that's silly. We've talked about it, and I don't want to beat the dead horse, but credit to them for not a ton of information coming out about it, and I just think that they're doing a good job by Joshua Simmons, and that's really all you can ask for from an employer in this kind of situation. So shout out to them for that. And
I think you see a lot of people saying, well, my job wouldn't let me, off for this kind of situation. Well, that doesn't mean the Chiefs or Josh Simmons are doing anything wrong. That means like maybe we need to be a little bit more like European and understanding that when people have children or deaths in the family or serious situations, they need to take a little break from work for a second without getting fired or whatever. I don't think that's a reason. I don't think Josh Simmons is soft or the Chiefs are like doing anything out of line. I think this is like grown up, modern stuff.
Yeah, and it's first of all, there are plenty of workplaces who would let somebody take an extended period of time off.
Right.
I think I work for one. I mean, at Fansided here, we've always been family first, and it's a family business that you started with your brother. And yes, it's still a business and it's still work, and we got to figure some things out, and there's some things you got to go through. But when people say that, it's like literally the Chiefs are letting him do this. So and also he's not working down at the 7-Eleven. He gets paid. He is a very, very specialized skill set that very, very few people in the world have. And so when you work in a position like that, people say, well, he gets paid millions of dollars, so he should show up. One of the reasons he gets paid millions of dollars is because he's so good at what he does. And that, along with that, if they're willing to pay you millions and millions of dollars to do a job for him, they're probably willing to be a little bit patient with a very serious family issue because you're incredibly valuable to the organization. And so use your heads, people, for God's sake.
I know if any fan base should know how hard it is to find a left tackle. They don't exist. They don't grow on trees. There's tremendous scarcity. Finding one of these guys, I mean, finding him at 32, this might have been one of the reasons why teams passed on him, because they thought it might affect his rookie year along with the injury. And the Chiefs have showed, I think, tremendous patience. And this is one of the hallmarks of this dynasty. They're forward thinking. They're not sacrificing, the future for right now. They're playing the long game.
Yes, indeed. Okay. Let's keep it moving here. No Hollywood Brown on Wednesday, had an illness at practice, but the Chiefs injury report is out. Hollywood is back on the field. That's good news. Everybody else from the practice report yesterday, Trey Smith was limited again today with this back issue. It's good that he's limited. We'll see if he tomorrow's the day that you got to watch. If he's still limited on Friday, it may just be that he's not ready, but they may be trying to slowly ramp him up, get him ready to play on Sunday. So that's what it seems like. If he's a full participant tomorrow, unless he has a setback, you could probably count on him being out there. But then the other thing that popped up here is this injury to Isiah Pacheco. It's being called an MCL sprain. I've seen anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks. He did not practice. I think he's probably going to be out on Sunday, which is unfortunate, but it's hard for him to shake the injury-prone tag. This was a fluky thing, a bad hit. Sometimes it's just bad luck, but it's there. We're going to talk about running back in just a second. Last piece of news is Big Mike Pennel is back. The Jets, they did win. They're 1-7. They came back and beat the Bungles. They're not having any dreams of making a run here this year with Justin Fields. They're starting to make moves, and they cut Mike Pennel, and he was on the Jets, right? Or was he in the Bengals? No, I'm all twisted. He was on the Bengals. See, they played each other, and I got confused. Pennel was on the Bengals.
You're thinking ahead to another player we're about to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, the Bengals, they're not going anywhere either. They cut Big Mike Pennel. I believe it was a non-injury settlement type thing where he got off the hook from their roster. God bless him. And they don't have to pay him as much. And he immediately flew to Kansas City and was re-signed. So that's good news. Do you think, Adam, getting Mike Pennel back, who a lot of people in the Chiefs cut him, were mad, and they didn't understand why they kept Derek Nottie over Mike Pennel, who everyone thought was a little bit better. Does this solve the defensive line issues for you in your head, or do you want the Chiefs to do more here with the trade deadline coming up?
I'd like for them to do more. It definitely doesn't hurt. And I'm one of those people that think Mike Pennel is vastly superior to Derek Nottie at this point. I don't think Derek Nottie has always been this player, but I think he is a below replacement level defensive tackle at this point. And Mike Pennel should be a replacement level defensive tackle with moments where he's a little bit more. And he's good against the run. He's durable, right? And he's also well liked by the roster and the coaching staff. I mean, Chris Jones has just been, campaigning to bring him back like crazy. And I think what it does is it hopefully, theoretically, it lowers Chris Jones's snaps. Now he played more snaps per game than any defensive tackle in the league last year. And all the other guys that were playing that level of snaps were all 27 or younger. He's too old to be out there 80% of the time. And Chris Jones isn't like, he's not George Karlaftis. He's not like solid. You don't want him out there just being solid on every play. You want him fresh in the fourth quarter so he can close the thing out. This helps with that. But I still think they have work to do on the defensive line.
A couple of people I want to address in the chat here. I've Rittman says, what are you talking about Nick Wright for? Isn't this a Chiefs channel? People aren't viewing you guys to critic Nick Wright. I think, yeah, you mean critique. So listen, people are viewing this channel to watch me talk about whatever the fuck I want to talk about. If I want to talk about Nick Wright, I'm going to talk about Nick Wright. At the end of this podcast, we're going to talk about movies for 15 minutes that have absolutely nothing to do with the Chiefs. It's our show, man. We get to talk about whatever we want. We mostly are going to talk about the Chiefs. Do you know what Nick Wright is very connected to? The Chiefs. So we're talking about Chiefs conversation and Chiefs discourse. Man, the audacity of some people.
Yeah, next, and I like Nick Wright, but
yeah, Nick's great.
People have to understand that he's a performer, right? We're doing something a little bit different. He's almost like a pro wrestler in the way he approaches Mahomes and the Chiefs, and it's very theatrical, and he's kind of playing a part. And we're just trying to be a little bit, we're homers too, but we're just trying to be a little bit more objective. And I think that's where our disagreement with Nick on Josh Allen comes from.
Yeah, I don't say anything on this show that I 100% don't believe. And Nick Wright I've had drinks with Nick. He's a great guy. He very well may believe that they're not, that it's not really a rivalry. But he, as wrestlers often do, as you mentioned, the WWE, sometimes they're themselves turned up a few notches. And so he really digs into that, and that's his thing. And that's fine, man. He's making millions of dollars, and I'm not. He's
great at what he does. You can't argue that.
No, he's fantastic. But it's part of the sports conversation, and has his part to say about it for whatever reasons he has. And we have ours here, and we love this rivalry. We're big sports fans. You and I have been friends for a long time, and we love watching these games and talking about it. We want the Chiefs to win, but we like Josh Allen. We think he's a great player. We're going to come on here and say it. And then Jeremy says, what the fuck? Dude been gone. This is related to Josh Simmons. Dude been gone a month. Ain't nobody died yet. Get your ass to work. Either Subway or the NFL. Go to work. Look, man, he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to. They're not making him go to work. So he's not going, because human beings in our lives and family are more important to some people, maybe most people, than work, right? So it's really rich, Jeremy, for some rando like you to be sitting on the internet talking about what Josh Simmons should or should not do in regards to a serious family situation and his friggin' job. Who cares about work? I don't care. Like I've worked for Fansided for, Jesus, man, it's probably coming up on 20 years now. I love this place. Okay. If there's something going on with my son, y'all ain't going to see me for a while. And if that's a problem, then I'm going to have to go on unemployment. I'm always going to make the best decisions that I need to make for my family. That's what Josh Simmons is doing. And every human being that's watching and listening to this podcast should 100% support that. And if you find yourself sitting around going like, you should go to work, you're probably an asshole. And if you're not an asshole, maybe you're just having a bad moment, and you should take a step back and think about it for a minute and be like, why am I the way that I am? Why do I say some of the stuff that I say? Seriously, like we're at such, and I'm going on a little bit of a rant here, but we're at such a miserable place in our society right now. Everybody hates everybody. Everybody's arguing about everything all the time, looking for stuff to get upset and mad about. Like, is it hard to just take a couple steps back every once in a while and be like, I'm going to be a human. I'm going to be a human being for a minute. I'm going to think about other people with compassion. Like, it's just insane how like, what's the word I'm looking for? Jaded everybody is these days. Just jaded. You could fire up anything on social media. It could be the most heartwarming, like everybody agrees thing, video, whatever. And there's always some asshole in the comments saying something mean. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. Nathan Graham says, who the F do you think you are? I wonder if he's talking to me or if he's talking to Jeremy. I don't know. I'm a guy with the microphone, so I'm going to say what I think. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's get on to the Jets conversation that I wanted to get into. And it's, look, maybe this is the last time I talk at length about Breece Hall. Maybe I squeeze it in one more time on the post-game show. I've been waving this banner since August, and now Isiah Pacheco's hurt. And we talked about this, Adam, on the post-game show, where we were like, this team's one injury away from Kareem Hunt and Brashard Smith. I saw somebody in the chat said, I want to see what Elijah Mitchell brings to the table. I'm not sure it's anything. He did at one point have some juice. I didn't see it in the preseason. He hasn't sniffed the field for this team. Brashard Smith, like we talked about on the postgame show, I think the Chiefs wanted Elijah Mitchell to be the guy who was active and who was that spark back. And Brashard Smith was going to be, rookie, inactive guy. We're going to bring him along. He's raw. He's out there playing right away. I don't think this is an issue. Maybe Mitchell for 1 week, but I think they need to do something here. And I think it's Breece Hall.
Think about Elijah Mitchell this way. Think about the unheralded running backs who you have guys like P. Ryan, Damian Williams, Darrell Williams, Carson Steele, undrafted, who have gotten on the field, Darwin Thompson for the Chiefs over the years. Elijah Mitchell can't get on the field. That has to speak volumes. This is a pretty open-minded and democratic coaching staff when it comes to the running back room. They'll give almost everybody a look if you have a pulse. Him not getting on the field speaks volumes. And I was beating the Elijah Mitchell drum like crazy coming into the season because he was an efficient running back who had juice in San Francisco, but apparently that guy is gone. So I think what I was saying, what you were saying on Sunday night is Kareem Hunt, I mean, God bless him. He runs his heart out. He has about, on Madden, his vision's got to be like a 99, right? He's got to be in the 99 vision club because that guy sees and feels the holes better than anybody, but he's old, guys. He's ancient for a running back, a lot of miles on the tires, and we just can't have him bearing the weight of heavy volume. Brashard Smith was 2 years ago, wasn't even a running back. So those are the two guys we're down to. And Isiah Pacheco, I hate to throw the injury prone label on a guy, but he does run into contact. He's not an elusive running back. That's not his style. And these guys like him, I mean, I've compared him to Ahmad Bradshaw and Marion Barber, and those guys are electric to watch because they run harder than anybody you've ever seen. Earl Campbell's another guy, like probably the best version of that. Earl Campbell had debilitating injuries in his 40s because of the way he ran. Like, this is just not a player who's, I know a lot of people love him, but he's not a player that's built to last. I just think they need some insurance. And I mean, Breece Hall would be, killing an ant with a sledgehammer. But if you can do it, it's going to make the Chiefs even more of, the prohibitive Super Bowl favorites. I think Alvin Kamara doesn't look like himself anymore. So this is, unless they want to moneyball it and do a smaller trade, I keep on advocating for Jerome Ford. I think Breece Hall is certainly the sexiest pick. And yeah, I'm dying to see what Patrick Mahomes, with a steady line, with continuity, with a full fleet of receivers and tight ends and a star running back would look like, because I think he would do things that have never been done before.
I do too. I think it would be like when they had Kareem Hunt the first time. And he is so good and so, I think, undervalued because he's been wasting away on the Jets. They don't need him. Like, they're reorganized. They got a couple young running backs they like. I understand one of them is hurt. I love Pop. I love Pop's heart. But if you put Breece Hall into this offense, he could play all three downs for you. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He presents a huge problem. And I want to call out, an article that our guy Lyle Graverson, who's been on the show before, writes over at Arrowhead Addict, wrote on Arrowhead Addict. It was released today. It's called "Chiefs Should Go All In on Offense by Making This Breece Hall Trade." And here's what he says. Let me get the quote for you. He says, with Kansas City's vaunted passing attack, a back with Hall's talent would present a real dilemma for opposing defenses. If they continue to focus on stopping Patrick Mahomes in the passing game, a back like Hall could exploit light boxes with great success. If defenses then have to commit more defenders towards stopping the run, it will make things much easier for Mahomes in the passing game. Simply put, Hall could make Kansas City's offense virtually impossible to stop if they stay healthy. Right now, teams aren't afraid of the Chiefs running game. They know they got to stop this Patrick Mahomes in this passing game. And if they're like, fine, I'll dare you to beat us with Isiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. Like, these guys on the Chiefs don't bust off big runs ever. Like, you see Jahmyr Gibbs and what he's doing, guys like that. It's a massive game changer. Teams aren't afraid of that with the Chiefs. And so, if they actually had that threat back there, like, I don't know what you do like these RPOs that the Chiefs like to run. Mahomes is going to have a friggin' field day out there with a guy like Breece Hall in the backfield with RPOs. So I just think he can be had. And the other thing is, it's almost a defensive move. The Chargers, I don't know how long Omarion Hampton's going to be out, but they've been rumored to be in the market and calling about running backs. Do you want to see Breece Hall end up on the Chargers? Like, normally I'm not afraid of any one player going to another team, but this is, because of the way the Chiefs started. And if you look at the schedules for the Chargers and Denver, this AFC West race is probably going to go down to the wire. And the Chiefs can't afford to stumble, and they need those guys to stumble. So it's not just about, well, do you think we could beat the Chargers if they had Breece Hall? Yeah, I do. But like, I don't want him helping them in every other game. I want them to slide out of the race. I want the Broncos to slide out of the race. And so I'm not saying that they should just trade for him as a defensive move, but if you get better and they can't get him, that's even better as far as I'm concerned. I just think he'd make such an impact on this team. I am licking my chops. The Jets just made a trade with the Eagles. They sent Michael Carter to the Eagles for wide receiver John Mechie, the outside of Garrett Wilson, who's hurt. The Jets have absolutely nobody at the wide receiver position.
Didn't Mechie he barely got a cup of coffee in Philadelphia.
Yeah, he only had a few catches over there, and that was that. He's been traded a couple times this year, I think. Look, so the Jets are, because they're on their bye week, they're starting to make deals. They're picking up the phone. And the Chiefs, I don't know if a deal is going to get made before this Bills game, but I guarantee you Brett Veach is having conversations this week. And maybe it happens, after Sunday and the trade gets finalized. Maybe there's a deal in principle for somebody, Breece Hall or anybody. But that these guys are they're working the phone. So the trade deadline is next Tuesday. I believe it's 4:00 New York time, Eastern time. So keep your eyes peeled. I mean, it wouldn't be crazy if something happened, tomorrow. With a guy like Hall, I think anybody else they trade for, they probably wait another week and do it after the games on Sunday, because then they don't have to pay. Like, I don't know how it works if a guy gets traded midweek, but I think if they're on the roster, you got to pay their game check. I would think that's how it works. So everybody probably wants to go and then make those deals on Monday and Tuesday, and wait till the last possible second. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with all of it. Okay, got to get to a bit of business here. First of all, we got something special lined up for our Arrowhead Addict family. Each month, we're running an exclusive giveaway just for our members, and this October, we've got a fantastic prize lined up. If you're a Ring of Honor tier member, you're in the running to win a Joshua Simmons jersey. And if for your any membership tier, we've got a Chiefs baseball cap waiting for you. All you have to do is be a member of either the Ring of Honor tier or any other tier by the end of October. We'll announce these giveaways live on the OG Hour on the first Thursday of every month. So be sure to tune in. Signing up is easy. Just click the link in the description of our YouTube videos. Arrowhead Addict members not only get entered to win these exclusive giveaways, but you get access to our private Discord with the hosts, special member happy hours, fantasy football leagues, and more. We'd love to get to know you better. So what are you waiting for? Become an Arrowhead Addict member today and support the show. And also with football season back in full swing, Underdog is the best place to play to get in on all the action. Playing Underdog is easy. You just pick your favorite player. If they're going to go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and more. You get your picks right, you could win up to 5,000 times your money. I love Underdog. I've got one going for tonight, Thursday Night Football. It's Dolphins-Ravens tonight. Looks like Lamar is going to be back, but I'm going Devon Achane for higher than 56.5 rushing yards. That Ravens defense is not good. They're really banged up, and I think Achane is going to get rolling. He's fantastic, explosive. I know you're a big fan of his, Adam. And then Derrick Henry for higher than 88.5 rushing yards because Miami stinks pretty much everywhere, but particularly on defense. So download the app today and sign up with our promo code Arrowhead Addict to score $100 in bonus funds or entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code Arrowhead Addict. Underdog. Make picks, win money. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdog.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. If you're concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncbgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NEW YORK or text it HOPE New York to 467-369. All right, let's preview this game. It's a big one, man. We talked about it at the beginning a little bit. Chiefs at Bills. Chiefs are favorites in this game, even on the road. 2.5 favorites. The over-under in this one, if you're a fantasy football player, you're going to like this. 52.5. So quick primer on where the Bills are this season. They've got wins over the Ravens, Jets, Dolphins, Saints, and Panthers. They walloped the Panthers last week coming out of their bye. Losses to the Patriots, 23-20, and the Falcons, 24-14. Adam, I'm going to start off with this. Who needs this game more, the Chiefs or the Bills?
I think the Bills, because the Chiefs have shown they can go on the road in the playoffs and win anywhere. In fact, they've won in Orchard Park before. They've won in Baltimore. So they've already proven that they can go anywhere and beat any team at any time in the playoffs when it matters. And the Bills haven't. And even though they continuously beat the Chiefs in the regular season, we know the score in the playoffs. It's 0-4 for the Bills. So psychologically, they're yet to get over this hurdle. And they're in a real dogfight with the Patriots. And Drake May looks phenomenal. He looks like the next guy in the pantheon of current great quarterbacks. So, and their defense just has been playing terribly. I mean, that loss to the Chiefs loss to the Jaguars doesn't look great. But the loss to the Falcons, who just got stumped by the Dolphins of all teams, is almost nonsensical. So I think it's the Bills, unquestionably. Not that this game doesn't matter for the Chiefs. They're really rolling. They're trying to make a statement. I think that if they want to capture the number 1 seed, this is a game they need to win. They probably need to win this game. They probably need to beat Indianapolis as well. They probably need to beat Denver at least once, if not twice. So this game matters to them, but I think psychologically it just matters so much more to the Bills because the Chiefs have lost to this team in the regular season so many times, shrugged it off, gone on to win the AFC and beat the Bills in the playoffs.
I get it. I mean, I think everything you're saying makes a ton of sense. I'm actually going to go with the Chiefs for a couple of different reasons. For one, it's that loss to the Jaguars. It's got the Chiefs all mucked up. And the Bills have the Bills are 5-2. The Chiefs are 5-3. So just trying to get, both of them are behind in their divisions. But for the Bills, they lose this game. Yeah, they drop to 5-3. But you know what? They have games against the Dolphins and the Jets in their division, right? The Chiefs just have one more game against the Raiders. They've got to play. The Chiefs have to play Denver twice. They have to play the Chargers again, who already beat them. Kansas City's dealing with two quality football teams in their division, and the Bills only have one. And it matters to them because they lost to the Patriots, and so they want to try to keep pace with New England. But I think there's a better chance that like the Bills could catch New England even if they lose. I think they're doing a really great job in New England, but I think the Chiefs, man, if they lose this game and drop to 5-4 and Denver wins, they might not win the AFC West. They can take out Denver themselves if they keep pace because they have 2 games against Denver. So, and I think the Chargers are gonna fade away a little bit. But the Chiefs are just like the last playoff spot right now. That game, losing that game to the Jaguars, that was brutal for them. And so they need to win a couple that maybe they would have chalked up as a potential loss. They already did it once by beating the Lions. And if they can beat this Bills team, I think they're really, really in good shape to win the AFC West. But if they lose this game, you know, they can't afford to drop one to Denver. They just can't, because you just don't know what those other teams are going to do. And they don't have super hard schedules, the Broncos and the Chargers. So I think the Chiefs need to get this one, keep their momentum and confidence moving in the right direction, and send themselves into the bye healthy, hopefully, and feeling pretty good about their positioning to come back after the break and continue this run. Let us know in the chat what you guys think. Who needs this more? Steve in the chat says Bills have a gravy schedule. They do, man. Let me just pull it up for you. So Buffalo, if they lose this game, all right, I got it. Okay, so Buffalo plays the Chiefs. Then they're at the Dolphins. They play the Bucks, at the Texans, at the Steelers, Bengals, at the Patriots, at the Browns. They do have to play the Eagles at the end there, and then versus the Jets. So that's not exactly murderer's row. There's a couple tough games in there. The Bucks, Houston's a little frisky at times, but I think the Chiefs winning this game too, like it might, I don't want to say break the Bills, but it could send them in a little bit of a spiral, like a confidence spiral, which would be good for the Chiefs, right? Because, they lost that game to Atlanta and they shouldn't have. Maybe that's their Jaguars game. But it could be interesting. So let's see if anybody else in the chat has anything. Warp says Chiefs due to Denver and the Chargers being good. That's what I think. So KCDC says Indy's a trap game. We'll be talking about Indy soon. Okay. So Adam, the Bills rush defense is next to last in the NFL. They are giving up 150 yards per game. Chiefs are coming into this with a decent amount of rushing yards. A lot of them are Patrick Mahomes. Isiah Pacheco's hurt, may not play. What do you think? Like, this is the Bills' pass defense has been really good this year. They're not giving up a ton of yards, but you could run all over them. Without Isiah Pacheco, can the Chiefs take advantage of this matchup?
I think they can. We're going to have to see more Brashard Smith. He's looked good in those limited glimpses. Kareem Hunt's going to have to handle more volume for one game. We don't want him doing it all season long, but I think for one night he can do it. And then you have the de facto running game, which is these reverses and handoffs and quick hitters to Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, who very good with the ball in their hands. I would say abnormally good compared to the rest of in fact, I think Rashee Rice is the best yak weapon in the entire NFL at this point. I think he has supplanted Deebo Samuel as that guy at the right wide receiver position. And then Worthy, I mean, that play last week where they were doing I don't even know what it was. It was like a broken end around that he just decided to reverse, and he got like a first down just because he has that level of speed. I just don't think the Bills have seen an offense this diversified, this dynamic with someone like Patrick Mahomes pulling the levers. I think they're going to be able to figure it out, and the other thing about the Chiefs running attack, you hinted at it earlier. Patrick Mahomes is going to see soft boxes, which is going to help any running back in this system do pretty well. Trey Smith, you really want Trey Smith back. I think Mike Caliendo handled business last week. Jalen Moore handled business, but Trey Smith is the second best lineman on this team, no questions asked. You'd like for him to be there next to Creed Humphrey, because then you're just, you're running behind them, and Kingsley, who is a work in progress as a pass blocker, but as a run blocker, he's already a mauler out there. So I think Trey Smith is I'm almost more worried about him potentially missing the game than Isiah Pacheco.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Bills just went up against the Panthers, as I mentioned. They beat them 40-9. The Panthers came into that game with one of the NFL's most efficient rushing attacks. Rico Dowdle had just been going off for them. Before that, they had Chuba Hubbard. They're trying to work both those guys in, but this game was just a disaster for Carolina. Now, they still managed to rush for 114 yards in this one. Chuba Hubbard doesn't look right. He had 12 carries for 34 yards. He only averaged 2.8. He did get a touchdown, but he had a long of 5. Meanwhile, Rico Dowdle, they only gave him 8 carries. He turned him into 54 yards, had a long of 24. I think it's the end for Chuba Hubbard with the Panthers,
Dave Canales has said as much. And I think actually sometimes you see coaches are almost too fair for their own good. They didn't want Chuba Hubbard to lose his job to injury and get Wally pipped. So they kind of kept him as sort of the starter, sort of not. But it's clear that Rico Dowdle should be getting 80% of that workload. And I think they would have been more competitive last week if they did feature Rico Dowdle. So I think we can put a little asterisk by that result. I mean, not that the Bills wouldn't have won, but I think that was part of why Carolina got the doors blown off them.
Yes, it certainly was. But also the Bills, and we're going to talk about this next. They had 410 total yards in this game, and James Cook went off and ran for over 200 yards on these guys. So the Bills just got more. They had the ball for 33 minutes to the Panthers 26 minutes of possession. And so there were just at halftime it was 19-3. So the other thing is the Panthers had Andy Dalton starting at quarterback in this game. So it was just a bad mix. I don't think that the Bills didn't solve their rushing defense issues in this game. There was no threat of the pass game. The James Cook went crazy, but let's flip that on its head now, right? The Bills come into this game with their best offensive player outside of Josh Allen being James Cook. He's unbelievable. He's second in the league, I believe, in rushing yards. And he's behind only Jonathan Taylor, who's just gone into the stratosphere. They're number one rushing offense in the NFL, 164 yards per game. We talked about the Chiefs' defensive line issues. The Chiefs are giving up 100 yards a game rushing. Are you worried in this game that they're going to run a two-man game on the Steve Spagnuolo defense with James Cook and Josh Allen? And I don't think the Bills want to pass a whole lot right now just because they don't have anybody that can really catch the ball and win a lot of one-on-one matchups. Does this concern you? Because for me, what Spags is great at is getting you in a situation where he knows you want to pass, then he can dial up those exotic blitzes. And that's what's worked for him well against the Bills in the past. And when the Chiefs have kind of gotten an edge on the Bills, it's been when they forgot to run the ball.
Well, a lot of that comes down to game script. And Steve Spagnuolo deserves credit, but Patrick Mahomes in the offense is who will force the Buffalo Bills away from the running game. And I think a lot of this game will be who kind of dictates things by building an early lead. I'm scared of their rushing attack. I really like their offensive line. Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown are awesome at the tackles. I think Edwards, McGovern, and Torrance are pretty good inside as well. They really run the ball. James Cook, I don't know that I'd have him quite in that Taylor, Barkley, Bijan, Achane. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is the best of them all. my opinion. He's Jamal Charles reincarnated, maybe, but like if he's not in that tier, he's like right below it, man. He is a borderline superstar and like a very, very good player. And in this scheme where you're having to worry about Josh Allen, I mean, to bring our conversation full circle, this is what it looks like when you have an A-level running back with an alien quarterback. I mean, we've seen it with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson too. It looks a little different because they're different stylistically. I think James Cook is a little bit more versatile. He's not the pure rusher that Derrick Henry is, because I mean, who is? But yeah, I think the Chiefs just they need to get up on these guys and force them to throw. I think the Chiefs they've done a good job against Gibbs and Henry and like a bunch of these other running backs. But I think the secret sauce is their offense is putting up points and not allowing these other teams to just, pound the rock.
And the Chiefs did a good job against the Lions. And I wouldn't be surprised if defensively Spags comes out with a similar game plan where he plays those linebackers and says, I'm not scared of you. I mean, he should be scared of Josh Allen throwing the football, but, Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, like Shakir's a good player, but he's not an alpha. He's not a number one wide receiver. Kincaid's a good player, but I think the Chiefs are willing to allow a couple of big plays to those guys if it means, like, look what happened in that Lions game, right? I wouldn't be surprised at all in this game if Khalil Shakir has a big game, because the Chiefs don't care about trying to stop him per se, that they're fine playing man-to-man. Because who had that big game against the Chiefs and the Lions is Jamison Williams, who's not had a lot of big games this year. But I think the Chiefs were like, all right, Jamison Williams, like, you're a good player, but we got a long list of guys we want to stop, and it starts with Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown. And if you're going to eat, it's like when they had Stephon Diggs on the Bills, and Gabe Davis would always have big games against the Chiefs. Like, really, you should, whenever the Chiefs are playing somebody like that, you should find that like second, third tier guy and just bet the over on their receiving yards, because Spags doesn't care if they have big games if he can take away the best players on these teams. So I could see them coming out with a similar game plan in this. Adam, who do you think needs to step up offensively and defensively if the Chiefs are going to win this game?
I mean, I think it just continues to be Rashee Rice. He's got to just keep this toward pace up and be the number one option that keeps this offense. Their success rate since Rashee Rice has been back, their offensive success rate, which is basically measures if you're keeping the offense on schedule. I think it's 50% of the yards for first down, and then 75 on second, and then 100% on third and fourth. They're at 60-something%. They're like right around 60%. The Lions led the league last year at like 53-something. So like they are just really on schedule, and it almost looks like they're not even sweating. They're just rolling. I mean, they're just imposing their will, and the playbook, everything in the playbook looks golden right now. And I just think they need to keep that momentum rolling. And Travis Kelce is a big part of that too, because now when you have how dynamic a receiver Rashee Rice is after the catch, and the game-breaking speed of Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce is a tertiary concern for defenses, and he's still got a lot of the magic. So that has to be a very frightening pick your poison kind of situation. I'm trying to think here. Ed Oliver being out is a huge blow to Buffalo. He's maybe their best defensive player at defensive tackle. I don't know. I think the Chiefs just have to keep doing what they're doing defensively. I think you're right. Maybe this team likes to play a lot of base. They have good linebackers. They like to get Leo Chanel out there with Drew Tranquil and Nick Bolton. And I think they'll look to do that. And hopefully that can like slow down James Cook. The other thing about the Chiefs that has to be mentioned here is like to get drafted by the Chiefs or acquired as a defensive back, it's a prerequisite that you can tackle your ass off. And even the guys that are kind of having coverage deficiencies from time to time, like a Chamari Connor, he still is a madman as a tackler. Jaden Hicks, we saw that last week, a madman as a tackler. And we know McDuffie and Watson and the rest of those guys really tackle too. So they're not this isn't the kind of team that's going to have bad open field tackling and allow unforced errors to let James Cook go off. James Cook and that offensive line, they're going to have to earn it, man.
I'm with you, man. I think for me on the defensive side of the ball, it's Leo Chenal. I think they're going to use him as the spy on Josh Allen when they want to spy. That's going to be key, is to not let him get going. And then everybody else gets downhill, Tranquil, Bolton. Let's try to take James Cook out of this game. And then, hopefully they can keep Josh Allen in the pocket as best they can. But if they can't, Leo's got to, I hope Leo's staying nice and limber and rested, because he's the guy that can maybe bring Allen down and spy him. He's done a pretty good job of that in the past. Offensively, I think it's Travis Kelce in this game that they need to step up. He had a great game last week, but he had the drop interception. They can't afford that, right? In this game, they need to come out, like you said, and establish a lead if they can early. They're going to be in a hostile environment. You don't want to get that crowd going. They can't come out like they did against the Commanders and stumble around offensively for a half of football. The Bills are too good. They're at home. Come out, and hopefully it's a little bit of shock and awe. This will be by far the best offense that the Bills have faced since week 1 when they took on Lamar and the Ravens, and that was a 41-40 game, I believe, that the Bills eked out. So you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If their defense is struggling, I think they've got some speed issues on that defense. Well, the Chiefs have a lot of speed on offense. So just come out, execute. Andy, don't get too cute with stuff. If you get a 2nd and 3, don't run some crazy reverse or something we're gonna lose 5 yards. Just get forward yards, be efficient. This offense has been absolutely fantastic. I think they only punted. Just don't turn the ball over. Just don't turn the ball over early in this game and force these Bills into the situation they don't want to be in, which is having to drop back and throw. That enables Spags to dial up his special stuff, pressure Josh Allen, and hopefully create a little bit of havoc. All right, we're going to get to our predictions, our final score predictions in just a minute. So make sure you stick around for that. Again, it's the Arrowhead Addict podcast. Patrick Allen, Adam Best. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an Arrowhead Addict show. The guys at True Classics started with a simple mission: to bring premium comfort clothing to the masses, because looking and feeling great shouldn't come at a designer price tag. And clearly the people agree. People vote with their dollars, and True Classics has sold over 25 million shirts to more than 5 million customers and racking up over 200,000 5-star reviews. The brand isn't just about fabric or fit. It's about helping guys show up every day with confidence and purpose. I told you guys on the post-game show, I'm a big True Classics guy. I was wearing True Classics before they were sponsoring the show. This t-shirt that I'm wearing under my fan-sided hoodie, True Classics. They're comfortable. They feel premium. They feel a lot nicer than the cheaper brands you buy in the bulk at the big outlet stores. I love these. They're great. They hold up really well. They feel good. They all the room in the right places. Like, I'm a big True Classic guy, and I'm so jacked up that they're supporting the show. Like I said, their shirts fit where they should. They feel incredible. They're not going to break the bank. You get a tailored look with significant comfort without blowing your budget. They don't get all stretched out. You don't get the bacon collar. I've been wearing them for a while now, and you can feel the difference the moment you put one on. So it's tailored where you want it, relaxed where you need it, no bunching. So forget the overpriced brands. Skip the cheap throwaway stuff. True Classics is built for comfort, built to last, and built to give back. You can find them at Amazon, Target, Costco, Sam's Club, or, and I prefer you do it this way, head to trueclassics.com/arrowhead to try them out for yourself. All right. Thank you to True Classics. And I think they're sending a few more t-shirts my way and some other things. So I'm jacked up to get that package in the mail. Okay. Let's get to our final score predictions. Let us know what you guys think in the chat. I'll kick us off here. This one's supposed to go over 50. I think it will. I've got a nail biter. Give me Chiefs 28, Bills 27, with the Chiefs with the ball at the end of the game, going in for the game-winning touchdown, tied 27-27, and we all collectively crap our pants as Harrison Butker, who's been a little bit shaky, comes out and is once again nails and gives the Chiefs the victory with the extra point. Adam, what about you, man?
Oh, these games are always so close. Like the AFC Championship, man, Christian Benford gets that concussion that possibly decided that game. It's always, I think these games are always going to come down to a field goal. I have this one scored like that. Maybe this is wish casting, a shootout, but I have Chiefs 38, Bills 35. I think it's going to be an instant classic, like most of these games between these two teams are. So, man, I couldn't be more pumped. This is, in terms of regular season matchups, this is the marquee matchup in the National Football League. But I think the Chiefs are going to take care of business. They seem like they're on a mission right now, and I don't expect them to have a lapse in a big game like this.
I don't know who the Chiefs play. I don't know if they play the AFC East next year. I'll have to look that up. But if they don't, they win this game, they may not play the Bills in the regular season for the first time in a while, because if the Chiefs win the West and the Bills finish second to the Patriots, and we're not playing the AFC East next year at our rotation schedule, we won't have this game in the regular season. It feels like, every year they finish in first place, they play every year. So I have to look it up and see.
Yeah, could happen with the Ravens as well. It seems like the Chiefs and Ravens and Bill, they all play each other every year, but It might not be the case next year.
We used to always play the Bills because we both sucked, and we would finish in our divisions every year. So we've played a lot. They actually played a really disgusting classic back in Halloween years and years ago. All right. If you are here for the football talk, we're done. But because it's Halloween tomorrow, we're going to talk a little bit of movies for Paddy's Power Rankings. We've been doing a year and a random year and then talking about our 3 favorite movies from that year. But because it's Halloween, I thought let's do our 3 favorite horror movies of all time. This is a very difficult one for me. I'm not terribly sure about my list because it's like picking among my children, even though I only have one child. And so I thought this would be fun. Adam, why don't you kick us off, man?
Yeah, this was tough because I thought about just going with what I thought was the best, but I'm going to go with a sentimental favorite here, and that's Green Room, which, have you seen this movie before?
I love this movie.
It is a 2015.
Patrick Stewart.
Yeah. I mean, up there for the greatest Patrick Stewart performances. I know we all love him as Picard and Professor X, but he plays a bad guy in this movie. And to see him go full villain, I don't know. I was riveted. It was amazing. And basically the setup for this movie is it's in a rural Oregon, and there's this punk rock show at kind of this small middle of nowhere club. And somehow, I forget exactly how, there's a dispute between the punk band and basically everyone else there, which is they're neo-Nazis, they're white supremacists. And they are locked in this room, like they're going to get killed if they don't figure a way out. And it is just, I mean, you want to talk about a tense movie and a thrill ride. And the great Anton Yelchin, who sadly passed away, this is one of his greatest movies and greatest performances. So, like, I don't know. This is one of my favorite movies of the past 10 or so years, easily.
It's really good. I wasn't ready for this when I saw it. It's very violent. If you're not into like violent and a little bit of violence and a little bit of gore, like it's pretty intense. So it's a hard movie to watch, but it's a thrill ride for sure. It takes you on a ride, and I think a little bit underseen. So yeah. I'm glad we've talked about it a couple times on the show. Get a couple in the chat. Steve Beach says The Ring in the Senate. Tom Hood says Leprechaun 4. I love the Leprechaun movies. I got a couple honorable mentions. I'm going to throw 7 in there. Great Morgan Freeman, Brad Pitt film. I think most people have probably seen 7. One of the best endings of any movie in cinema history. Must watch if you've never seen it. I'm not going to say anything else. And this other one, it's like a horror comedy. It's called The Final Girls, and it's another underseen movie. about a woman who's a young woman who loses her mother. She dies. They're in a car accident together at the beginning of the movie. It's not a spoiler. And then the mother was an actress, struggling actress, and she was in one sort of famous movie when she was younger, and it's basically Friday the 13th, right? It's not in the movie. It's not called that. It's called something else. But she gets killed. Her big break, the only thing she's ever really done of any note, is she's in this cult classic horror movie, and she's the shy girl with the guitar that gives up her virginity and gets murdered by, the Jason Voorhees killer. And she a year after her mother dies, she goes to her friend who's a big horror buff. They go to a anniversary showing of this movie, and she agrees to go, and the place catches on fire, and they escape through the screen and find themselves in this horror movie. It's a really funny movie. It's a lot of fun, but it actually has a lot of time. They make these spoof movies where there's no heart, there's no real story, and no real character. It's just like we're lampooning horror movies. This lampoons horror movies and plays on the tropes, but has a really great story about a young woman who is trying to let go of her mother. And it's fantastic because obviously her mother is in the horror movie. So she finds herself in this movie, and there she sees her mother, played by Maureen Ackerman, who's fantastic. So it's like, it tugs on my heartstrings every time I watch it. It's also hilarious. Really, really underrated movie. They need a sequel, and you should check it out.
Haven't seen it, but I definitely will check it out. And you mentioned Seven, and I just immediately go to, what's in the box?
Yeah, right. Oh man,
that's all we're gonna say.
Yes. Yeah, man. Adam. By the way, Final Girls. Thomas Middleditch. Adam Devine is in this movie. I interviewed him at the Super Bowl last year and asked him about it. That's how I'm a huge fan of this film. So check it out. All right, I'll let you get on to your next one here.
Did you even do 3?
Oh, I didn't. I spent so much time talking about my honorable mention. You're right.
And I forgot. Right. And I forgot to do my honorable mentions. We're just failing all over the place today.
We're all. It's a mess. It's a mess. Give me The Exorcist, number 3. Just absolutely fantastic. Great movie all around, top to bottom. Incredible performances. Terrifying. This movie was banned in Australia for a really long time. The last 30 minutes of this film are some of the best continuous minutes in cinema history. Everything about it is perfect. The makeup, the practical effects, the sound mixing, the direction, the cinematography. It's unbelievable if you've never seen it. I don't know how you've been alive and haven't seen The Exorcist, but if you like these kinds of movies, it's a must watch.
Puking has never been the same. I mean, it's been
no, it hasn't. Nor has pea soup.
No, it's been spoofed and referenced so many times. It's uncanny. I really quickly, I forgot to do my honorable mention, so I'm just going to do like all Hitchcock. It was hard for me to decide what if his was horror and what wasn't. I think maybe The Birds and Psycho and Rebecca definitely are, but his other stuff is more suspense. So I just didn't go there, but I definitely wanted to mention him. Oh,
Psycho's so good. We just watched it last week. It's so good.
And yeah, and so influential. And then surrealist, batshit crazy movie, if that's your flavor, Mandy with Nicolas Cage just really blew my hair back. That's not going to be everyone's speed. It's really over the top and gory and intense, but just one of the craziest movies I've ever seen. I enjoyed it, but I am a Nick Cage aficionado. Number 2 for me is the somewhat recent Get Out, which I think should have won Best Picture. I'm trying to think what beat it for Best Picture. Gosh, I looked this up earlier and now I forgot. I mean, that's how, like, I guess it just was. Oh man, I feel bad because I'm a Guillermo del Toro head, but Shape of Water, yeah. I don't think that's held up very well. I mean, I like The Shape of Water. I think it's an interesting movie, but like Get Out is one of these movies that people talk about like every day. It's one of the most influential, speaking of influential movies, of the past decade or so. And I think it should have won Best Picture. And I think a common theme with my last two movies is like the Academy can be very snobby. The Oscar awards can be very snobby about anything they deem horror, which is sad because it's one of our most popular and successful and consistent genres. And it's not easy to scare people and to pack a movie full of fright and suspense. So it's stupid.
Yep. Agreed. By the way, we mentioned The Shape of Water and you being a Del Toro guy. Sally Hawkins, who's the lead in that movie and who's so good, was just in a horror movie that I watched last week called Bring Her Back. You got to watch this movie, man. It's going to stick with you. It is. And she is unbelievable in it.
She is one of our best working living actresses. She's unbelievable, man. I felt that way for a long, long time.
Yeah, she's great. Number 2 for me is this movie. It could almost sneak into 1 for me at times. Fright Night from the 80s. I think one of the best vampire movies ever made. It's about a young boy coming of age story. Vampire moves next door. Also a super funny movie, but has great scares in it. Some incredible, one of the best practical effect vampire scenes that I think I've ever seen. They've got a couple really good ones in this, but it's just a hilarious movie. It's on Shudder right now. If you subscribe to Shudder and you've never seen it, it's a blast. It's fun. It's not just scary. It's not just funny. It's got everything. And it's quintessential 80s, horror comedy. You must watch.
Even the reboot is good. I think I like the original better, but I mean, another Anton Yelchin movie with Colin Farrell. I was going to ask you, how much you think Fright Night influenced, I think that's a key word today, Sinners?
Interesting. Yeah, I bet it did in some ways. The Sinners was so offbeat, especially with like the Irish jig and stuff. I think it played off of that, where it's like there's a fun thing that you can do with vampires in horror movies, which is and it's kind of like late stage Freddy Krueger too. Like, they're scary, but because they're people, they're not just monsters. You can do more with them, and you can kind of layer them up and have them be a little bit silly or campy or funny, but then also they're evil and they're terrifying, and they're like the perfect vehicle for that. So I wouldn't be surprised if it inspired it a little bit as well. By the way, Cody Hughes in the chat says, new to the channel. So the OG Hour gives us Adam and Pat. Maybe wrong, but seen a lot of different hosts on this show. So here's how it goes. I was on vacation last week, but the OG Hour is my show, and Adam is my co-host every other week. And usually Matt Verderam from Sports Illustrated is my co-host on the other weeks. So we rotate the OGs in, and then sometimes some other people step in when Verderam can't make it or Adam's out. So last week it was Price and Verderam were on the show. But you're usually going to see this ugly mug. Apologies in advance, Cody. And you can always count on Adam every 2 weeks, and usually Verderam from Sports Illustrated. All right, let's get to your number 1, Adam.
My number 1, I think, is one of the best movies ever made. Silence of the Lambs. I saw this as a kid in 1991 and just really kind of opened my eyes to what movies could be and do, because I wasn't just scared. I was, it almost makes you think existentially, right? But also just the performance. Yeah. You can reduce this down to the performances by the 2 stars, the Clarice character, and Hannibal Lecter. I mean, Hannibal Lecter, the most iconic villain of the past 35 years, definitely in the running. I mean, I don't know who would beat him. I know he's got a little tiny bit of an anti-hero vibe in this movie, and he played him several times, but it's just, Jonathan Demme is a director that I really love. And this is kind of a curveball for him, because he did like Something Wild and Married to the Mob. and he did a movie about Howard Hughes, and his movies were quirky but lighter. And then he just goes full. I think this is horror, but it's also psychological. It's also suspense. And I don't think I would change a single second of this film. It just plays perfectly. And for a movie this scary and dark, it's just insanely rewatchable, right?
Yeah,
And
it's incredible.
And Ted Levine, the guy who plays Buffalo Bill, I think he was so fantastic in this movie that it like made it hard for him to get roles in the future, because people just couldn't couldn't shake. I mean, I won't talk about like what he does in the movie, but I think everyone thinks about one scene when they're thinking about this actor and that character, maybe a few scenes. Anyway.
When he's based on the guy that Leatherface was based on in Texas Chainsaw. I don't know if you knew that, but
I didn't.
Yeah, this was like a real dude that existed, and they're kind of based on the same guy. So you should check that out. It makes sense when you start to think about it. Terrific number one. I think it's great too. Like, nothing has to be classified. It's part thriller. It's part police procedural and horror. It's definitely horror. My number one, like Cody said in the chat, I'm a Nightmare on Elm Street guy, man. That was the movie, the first really scary movie that I saw when I was a kid that I shouldn't have seen. I was terrified of Freddy Krueger. I had actually, like, we should talk to a psychiatrist about this. I was so scared of Freddy Krueger that I had this coping mechanism. You know how kids are scared of monsters before they go to bed? There's a monster under the bed. I was afraid of Freddy Krueger. The way that I coped with this, which it sounds insane that this is how I got myself to sleep every night. We had this big white toy chest in our attic, and outside my bedroom door, there was a hallway, and there was the door that went up to the attic. And at the top of the attic steps was this big chest, like old white toy chest. And I imagined that Freddy Krueger lived up there in that toy chest. He used it like a coffin. And that every night he would come and look for me in my bedroom. And I would pull the covers up over my head and just leave my face exposed. And I would imagine that he would get up, throw darts at my picture on the dartboard on the door up there, then fly down the stairs like claws first, come into my room, walk around my bed, look for me, not be able to find me. And then he would go back up until the next night. But it was how I because once he had come to look for me and couldn't find me, I was good to go to sleep for that night. I think that's the way my child brain worked it out. But I was, I thought he was so scary and such an original movie. And they get campy later on, but that first Nightmare on Elm Street, Johnny Depp's in this movie, Heather Langenkamp, is really freaky. And it's really a movie about a young girl whose parents aren't good parents. Her mother's an alcoholic. They're divorced. The dad's distant on the police force, and she basically has to assume the adult role for her mother and pay for her parents' sins, who killed this guy Freddy Krueger when he was alive because he was a child predator who got off. And somebody signed a search warrant in the wrong place. He gets burned alive, and now he's coming for these kids in their dreams to get revenge on the parents. Such a brilliant idea. Of course, the late, great Wes Craven wrote and directed this movie. It made New Line Cinema. They call it New Line Cinema, the house that Freddie built. Bob Shea was selling video cassettes out of the trunk of his car, the head of New Line at the time, founded the company. And he took a bet on this movie, and boy, did it pay off for him and for a lot of other people. I just love this. I love this character. I think he's terrifying, and I watch this movie 3 or 4 times a year.
There's a reason why I think I prefer this and did as a kid and find it scarier than Halloween and Friday the 13th, right? Because in our world, Jason and Michael Myers are a little far-fetched, right? But in dreams, anything can happen. And when you're a kid, I don't know, just the fact that he could come and enter your dreams and kill you in your dreams and you'd be dead in the real world, even though that's even crazier and not as grounded as these other movies, it felt more plausible to me. It felt like, I'm going to go to sleep and I'm never going to wake up, like, so, and I know we've talked about this before, but like, so impactful on Stranger Things. Like, there, not only is there no new line, they should call Stranger Things the show that Freddie built, right? Because, and also Freddie is, I mean, maybe he thinks he's funnier than he is, maybe that's part of it, but he definitely has a sense of humor, which some of these other movies don't. And I've always appreciated the kind of sense of humor. I know it gets campy at times and it's maybe a little much, but I mean, at the end of the day, movies are entertainment.
Yeah. If you didn't grow up in the 80s and 90s like we did, Freddy Krueger was a cultural icon. It was like it was like Freddy Krueger and Hulk Hogan. You know what I mean? Mr. T, like pop culture was at least in my mind, was like so massive in the 80s and 90s and early 90s. And it
was more streamlined. It was much more streamlined.
Yeah. Nobody was wearing, like, nobody was like, it just, Freddy Krueger became such an icon. And I think more so, whereas Jason and Michael Myers are just kind of like, they're kind of like the Grim Reaper. They're death. They're a force of nature. Freddy's scarier because he's like a cat playing with its food. He has an agenda. He's a person. He's like a demon, but he's a person. And so the fact that he can talk and that he isn't just going to kill you at any cost, but wants to mess with you while he does it and tap into what you're most afraid of. And basically he's like Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, they are there to kill you. Freddy Krueger's there to take your soul for hell. Like that's his deal, and get revenge. So it's a terrific movie. Kids today may find it not as scary. I don't know, but if you're a film aficionado, I think you watch this movie. One of the best effects in the movie is when Nancy's laying in her bed and Freddy starts to come out through the wall. And what they did was they just stretched like some muslin or something to make the wall, and then they lit it. And then they had one of the crew guys put his head through it, but it looks so real. It's so fantastic. And then he pulls back when she wakes up, and then they do a quick cut, and then she sits up, she knocks on the wall. And then I think the first kill in that movie, Tina's death, which is also a nod to Psycho, because you kind of think she's the main character of that movie. She's in the very first scene having a nightmare. She's the blonde. Her death, I think, is one of the scariest and most creative in all of cinema. It's my all-time favorite horror movie scene. And also,
Scream was an homage, like, Wes Craven doing an homage to himself, kind of, right? But you're totally right. I don't think people realize like what this was like in the 80s. You saw a red striped sweater and everyone was like Freddy Krueger. How many kids like came to school with the stupid toy claws or whatever? You go to the mall and you see Freddy, especially this time of year, you just see Freddy Krueger stuff all over the place. It was, I know horror movies are popular and we have franchises like The Conjuring that do crazy business, but this was ubiquitous to a degree. I don't even know if you can be that ubiquitous anymore, because we just have social media and a million channels and the internet and everything. But, back then something could like capture our total attention, and Freddy definitely did. So
did you ever see Wes Craven's New Nightmare?
I didn't see that one.
That is, so you've got to watch that. It's, in my opinion, the second best Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Craven, they brought him back in 1994. He was involved briefly in the third movie, and then they separated, but he was involved in the script of that film. And it's a good one. But Wes Craven's New Nightmare that came out in 1994 is fantastic, and it's the first. This is before Scream and all the meta stuff that it did. It's about the actors that were in A Nightmare on Elm Street. And the premise is the movies were just movies. And the woman that played Nancy, Heather Langenkamp, is living in LA and acting with her husband. Robert Englund plays himself in the movie. Wes Craven's in the movie. Bob Shea, the head of New Line, is in the movie. They have characters. And the premise is that Freddy is the character of Freddy has basically captured this ancient evil that has sort of seeded itself in the character of Freddy. And now that they've stopped making the movies, it's trying to cross over out of films and into reality through Heather Langenkamp, because it sees her as sort of a gatekeeper. She was the first one in the films to defeat it and humiliate it. And so it's a real evil, and it's trying to get out. It's unbelievable. I think it is so good. It's brilliant of Craven to have, rather than try to make another Nightmare on Elm Street sequel that I'm sure he felt had been bastardized in cash grabs in like 4 and 5 and 6, that he, instead of doing that, he came up with something totally new from his creation. And so if you want to do a great double feature, just watch A Nightmare on Elm Street and then Wes Craven's New Nightmare back to back. The first one's only like 90 minutes, so you can do it in an evening. It's a great watch. All the actors come back. It's fantastic. No Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp.
So he kind of, I think X-Men did this before too, but he kind of like retconned everything he didn't like and just went back to the original and connected those two stories.
Yep.
Man, I think Wes Craven probably doesn't get enough credit in the meta conversation, because then, later, that 5 years later, Charlie Kaufman comes along and the whole meta thing starts snowballing. Yep. But man, he's probably one of the godfathers, not only of modern horror, but of modern meta.
Yeah. He's done a lot of great stuff. Check out Last House on the Left, another brutal but great horror movie that he directed. All right, we got to get out of here. I'm switching into Halloween mode now, baby. I got to get my costume.
More importantly, what is Rory's costume?
So Rory is Winnie the Pooh, and Mag is going to be Eeyore, and I'm going to be Tigger. So normally I like to do scary costumes for myself, right? But I've got a 1-year-old kid, and he's adorable. And so last year Mag and I were Ghostbusters, and he was the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Great costume. He was like 7 months old. And now we've got this. We went into the Spirit Halloween store, and I saw the Winnie the Pooh costume, and I was like, I gotta see him in this. I'm doing it. And so I want to do the family costume thing. And when he gets a little older, we'll start moving in the scary direction. I've got a whole plan to get him into horror. Start with like Scooby-Doo and Casper and stuff like that. And I'll just slowly move him into stuff that's age appropriate. But yeah, man, it's going to be fun. I'll send you a picture. I already made him try on the costume, and it's, yeah, man, what a cute kid. He's got a little honey pot. He's toddling around, babbling. It's great.
How am I going to top that? I'm going as Daniel Plainview, but
Daniel Plainview. Who's Daniel Plainview?
There Will Be Blood. I'll drink your milkshake.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I'm gonna have to,
you've got the stash. You're ready.
Yeah. I'm gonna have. It was either
you're
him
gonna twirl it.
Bill the Butcher. His isn't twirled. It's just the handle. The kind of. Push
I'm thinking of Bill the Butcher. Are you gonna get the American flag and drape it over yourself?
I have like some stuff that I put together, but I need to figure it out tonight and tomorrow, and maybe work on the accent a little bit. I was also thinking, you might be conflating him and Bill the Butcher. Is the American? I think the American flag was.
Yeah, you're right. I'm still thinking of Bill the Butcher. That's
so I thought about that too. The whole, we got to tenderize this meat and everything, because that's more of a showy performance. I don't know if I can pull that off. So I'm thinking Daniel Plainview. So
yeah, I always liked Gangs of New York a little bit better than There Will Be Blood, but Bill the Butcher talking about the priest. Priest was the finest man I ever killed. Oh, it's so good.
See, you can do it. I'm gonna have to work. I'm gonna have to work on it. But outside of Cameron Diaz, who I think was miscast in that movie, there's a lot of highs in Gangs of New York. I just watched it, so it's a lot.
Yeah, of fun. Brendan Gleeson shows up in that.
John C. Reilly in a serious role.
John C. Reilly. It's great.
People are
we gotta get out of here.
Fish hooked.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. We're gonna end up with a whole second podcast here. All right, everybody, appreciate you. Thank you to Adam Best. Thank you to producer Richard, who's probably wants to wring our necks because we're going so long. We'll see you guys on Sunday. We have the Friday show, the betting show, and then we'll see you guys on Sunday for the Chiefs pregame, halftime, and postgame show. Big game, Chiefs Bills. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks for your support, and we'll see you on Sunday. But until then, go Chiefs.